majority of this 13% of 2,000 rupee notes may have been hoarded.
All right, the politics can't be too far away. Now the Congress party has put out a tweet, and we'll break that here on CNN News 18. The Congress party has put out a tweet saying that this is the second demonetization disaster. This is what the Congress party is calling this, the withdrawal of the 2,000 rupee notes. The Congress party is calling this a second demonetization disaster. Although technically this is not an overnight demonetization like we saw in 2016, as Gaurav was pointing out. You have another 3 months to exchange these notes or to deposit them in your bank account. Manikam Tagore has just tweeted saying, just checked in my wallet, I don't have 2,000 rupees. This is the second demonetization disaster by the Modi government. So clearly the politics of it is now going to be stepped up. Let me get a quick word in from Pallavi on this, and I'll also go across to Mr. Ajay Bagga, who's a market expert, in just a moment to get what the market's view could likely be on this. But Pallavi, as expected, the Congress calling this a second demonetization disaster.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And, I think this was an expected response, and this is exactly what we were talking about. The first demonetization, as it was called, is something which is being picked up by the Congress party even now. I remember one of the strongest reactions had come in from Mamata Banerjee because, I belong to Bengal and I know the traders have a habit of hoarding up petty cash. They have a habit of storing up money. And that is what she realized had hit the economy very badly. And she had actually complained about the fact that this was only actually ending up targeting the smaller traders, the poor people who have a habit of stashing up cash. The rich people get away. I remember those were the words which were used by Mamata Banerjee. I'm sure the TMC is also going to come out with its official response. But the Congress's response is not very surprising.
All right. Amit Malviya of the BJP is now joining us on the phone line. Mr. Malviya, the Congress's first reaction to the withdrawal of the 2,000 rupee note is they're calling this a second demonetization disaster. How would you respond?
Well, this is a very predictable response, and I'm sure they have not even read the circular and the FAQs that the RBI has put out. This is not the first time a certain currency has been withdrawn. We've seen that happen on several occasions. The RBI on different occasions has withdrawn series, they have withdrawn currency denominations, and even in this particular instance, they have very clearly said that it continues to be a legal tender. People can transact, people can go to the banks and exchange if they are holding up currency notes. So in that sense, it does not in any way inconvenience or is a departure from what we've seen in the past.
The 2,000 rupee note itself was introduced after demonetization in 2016. It's had a short-lived journey over the last 7 years. The opposition is saying that this is a symbol of everything that went wrong with demonetization.
Well, the opposition insists on being status quoist, but the fact is that dynamic economies take decisions as it requires. And today, if the RBI feels that a certain currency denomination need not be printed going forward, that's what they have said. They have taken that decision based on the currency in circulation, the denomination in circulation, the use of it, and what they foresee the cash in circulation in the economy to be like. So it's not a very simplistic decision that the central bank arrives at. They look at a lot of data, they look at a lot of usage patterns, and let's not forget that post-demonetization, over 5 lakh crore rupees came into formal economy. The digitalization that we've seen is humongous. Today, the transactions happening on UPI are in billions. So it has been a huge success. It has formalized the economy in a very, very big way. And it has been to the advantage of the small and marginalized entrepreneurs and traders and people who deal with small businesses. Unless the opposition sort of reads through the fine print, understands what the RBI's circular is all about, their response is nothing more than a political, rhetorical, knee-jerk reaction to something that requires a great deal of understanding on how these decisions are made.
All right, Mr. Malviya, thanks very much for joining us with your first reactions to this decision by the RBI. Charan Singh Sapra of the Congress is also joining us, and so is Mr. Majid Memon of the NCP, of the TMC. Charan Singh Sabra, Amit Malviya just saying a moment ago that this is a thought-out, considered decision by the RBI. In any case, the RBI had stopped printing these notes from 2018-19. Now they are withdrawing it from circulation, and it's not like demonetization because it's not a sudden removal of these notes. You have time till the 30th of September to either exchange these notes or to deposit them in your bank account.
No doubt the government has given some time, but I still feel that this is one more example of an authoritarian rule. It was never discussed with the stakeholders also, nor discussed in the parliament. I feel this is the best example of authoritarian rule which Modi government has been doing.
But even in 1978, when there was the first demonetization, it was RBI that went ahead with it. There was no parliament or taking the opposition on board and so on.
No, but RBI also, they might have discussed without discussing with the finance minister or without discussing with the prime minister. I don't think so they have taken this decision, or the RBI chief should come out and say that he has not discussed with anybody and this is a unilateral decision of RBI. They should come out and tell this.
Let me also go across to Mr. Majid Memon. Mr. Memon, again, the point the BJP is making is, A, it's the RBI, the central bank, that's taken this decision. It's a considered decision. The RBI governor has from time to time pointed to the fact that how, because it's a high-value denomination, people are hoarding it. It's being used perhaps for hoarding cash, etc. So the purpose of the 2,000 rupee note at the time that it was introduced during demonetization was to ensure that there is a bit of ease for consumers because 500 and 1,000 had been removed. That purpose has now been served. Therefore, they are withdrawing it.
Yes, hello.
Yes, Mr. Memon, yeah, go ahead.
Now, first, I would correct you. I am with TMC, not NCP. Please correct me.
Sure, yes. I corrected myself. Yes.
Now, see, this move by the RBI has once again opened the whole Pandora of the wisdom in the announcement of demonetization by this Modi rule. You know, what had caused, what gain we have got, what losses we have suffered, I think everything will have to be now refreshed in mind. And so why now today RBI says that 2,000 notes are to be withdrawn for certain reasons they felt. Why was it introduced at the first instance? What was the mind of RBI or the present government to bring in this 2,000 rupees note to facilitate people to make hoarding easy? Was it the purpose? And what is the gain of demonetization? Where people have died, where poor people have suffered in queue while exchanging, there were people who lost their lives while changing the money and when this policy was brought in by the Modi government. So therefore, now this is the time once again to renew and recall what were the, turmoils that people have suffered when the demonetization was done. And today, if you are asking to withdraw this 2,000 note, let the people of this country, as a citizen of this country, I am entitled to know from the Reserve Bank or from the government, from the Prime Minister's office, that please tell us what was the reason for you to introduce it at the first instance, and what was the gain to the people of this country or to the state exchequer? Absolutely nothing. Okay. It was an exercise. It was an exercise in futility. It was only having all disadvantages throughout, and people have suffered immensely, and more particularly the richer people, the topmost people have gained by holding money all these years in 2,000 rupees notes easily to accommodate the...
All right, Mr. Memon, thank you for that. I think there's a problem with his audio line as well. Let me also get in a word from Mr. Ajay Bagga, a market expert. Thank you very much for your patience, Mr. Bagga. So how do you expect the market to react to this on Monday morning? Also, do you see the banking system being flooded with people, queues outside ATMs, queues outside bank branches, like we saw when demonetization happened on the 8th of November 2016?